Okay, so how are we doing with this? Is this one solid color now? More or less. More or less. Okay, so how about the last thing we do for today is put on some of the bleached bone, which is the other kind of color for this model. That might just be the last thing that we do. And what I need is actually something like this. And pardon me while I clean this up. It's kind of dusty. I need to fix all the areas where I was haphazardly splashing my dark blue around. Pays to be a more tidy painter. I'll fix up these areas with some prime. And then we'll put the dark blue. And then we'll probably close to wrapping things up today. I think I cleaned this one off. I can't tell. Don't need much. We'll start with that much. Now I know what to get you as a gift, assuming I can find it. Yeah. I don't know if they made like a new one. Do you happen to know if Bandai Namco tend to reprint, or not reprint, like make models from older shows? Is that a thing? Or do they only make models from the latest shows? And then if you wanted something from before, like you're basically gonna have to go to eBay or something? I don't really know how that works. Okay, so here we are cleaning up this model. They've made new ones. Bacon, they make models of older shows. Okay, that's cool. I guess so long as it's popular, they'll make new models, eh? Interesting. It's really impressive how the hobby has like lasted this long, right? There's something, especially in this day and age where so much of our entertainment is digital, right? That kids might just gravitate towards whatever's you can do on your computer or a video game console or on your phone. But it's really cool that building models is still a thing, right? And in fact, that could be partially because of like how prevalent technology and electronic stuff is in this day and age. It's probably almost like a reaction to that like, people have been kind of getting into analog hobbies, right? Like building Gunpla or Warhammer and stuff, because it's something that you have to like tear yourself away from technology, unless you're someone like us. You're like us, and you're streaming it, right? But yeah, like, it's something that you can't even split your attention with, in the sense of like if you're watching a movie, right? You could like have a movie on or TV, and you can do something else. Like, there's something very pure about building a model, painting models, whatever, that like that you have to like really give your attention to. And because, what was the line, Bacon? Because your life isn't on the line, you can dedicate your entire self to. I'll have to meditate on that for a while. It's very it's a very thoughtful statement. Gonna head out for a bit, pick up some stuff for dinner. All right. Take care, Bacon, and I'll definitely catch you later in the evening if you end up streaming. That'll be fun. All right. I always try and use as big a brush for as much as I can as possible, but that ends up biting me in the butt sometimes because then I make a mistake somewhere, and I'm contemplating going into using a smaller brush right now. and yet I still continue to use this. Okay, let's just try and get all this detail. This will all be bleached bone. And actually, that's something where knowing the lore can kind of help you understand and inspire you to paint your models a certain way, because according to the lore, the Eldar don't use metals per se. A lot of their technology, a lot of the stuff, their weapons, their armor, is made from something called, like, what is it called? It's something kind of bone, wrathbone? Some kind of bone material. So that's why you'll often see many weapons and stuff like that with the bone kind of color. And that was something that I was talking about earlier, but I kind of got distracted. There's this... I would really like to get into weathering my models and putting like wear and tear and stuff like that. Grime and dust and scratch marks, blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff on my models. But I don't know how that would work for the Eldar, because a lot of those processes that people have established, it makes sense for, you know, iron and metallic and steel to show through. So I'm not really sure how that would look with a model where it's bone underneath it, if that makes sense. Okay. Okay. I think that's good enough. Now we can move on to the bone part. Oh, here's my wet palette. And we gotta shake it up, as usual. This is Ubshanti bone. However, I'm still used to calling it just bleach bone. That's what I've called it forever. Gotta shake it up, so give me a second while I shake it up. Let me mute my mic real quick and just get a drink of water and some crackers. All right, all right. Hold on a second. Gotta rearrange my painting space. You guys can't tell, but like, I try and keep this area here very clean while I'm working. But everywhere off screen, it's like super messy. All right. I feel like I didn't shake this thing enough, but let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot right now. Let's put this here like this. I feel like if I were to get back into Warhammer 40k, I'd probably play something like Kill Team. That seems like a much smaller scale and manageable game where you're only going to be using a couple of models rather than a full army. But I don't think that there's like, I guess you can, I guess there is an Eldar Kill Team because you can use any models. Well, I don't know about any models, but there are like data sheets or whatever they call it for Eldar, I'm pretty sure. Just get out something here to clean my brush. Okay. Alright, now we're painting the bleach bone or the Ubshanti bone for this weapon. And I guess we're going to do it according to the sides. We'll paint one side, let the paint dry, and then we'll do the other side. Seems like the paint is a little thicker than normal, than I'd like. So let's thin it out. I've been seeing a lot of interesting techniques painting plasma weapons, where they make this coil part, might be a little hard to see, but the this ribbed part, which is sort of like the energy coil for the plasma weapons. It's on like Space Marine weapons too. They make it glow, and maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll try painting that technique because it looks really cool. It's like glowing with energy, and yeah. So this is an instance where if you had this part like completely assembled on the model, it would be very hard to get all these parts, right? And even though I've painted this, I've disassembled the model. Now the challenge is like how to handle it, right? As I get some paint where I didn't want, just flood the area. It's the normal strat. Whoop, flipped over. And perhaps I could have like, you know, drilled a hole into this and then mounted it onto like some cork, like a bottle, a wine bottle or something, but that's just too much work. We're just doing it this way. Just make sure that we're in the camera here. And I'll flip this thing over later, once the paint dries. Okay. There's definitely some spots that that I missed. But for a first coat, that's acceptable. Okay, so now we'll do this one. And this is very thin, this paint that I have. And when the base coat is white, you can kind of get away with that because it really lets the brightness of the white show through, so it looks really good. But at the same time, you don't want it to be too thin. Normally they say the consistency should be that of like milk. And I'll have to do the underside of this model, but we'll wait till that dries. It's somewhat pointless because you'll never see the underside normally, but that's one of those things where I'll know that it's unpainted, and that's not good. I'll know it's not painted, and it'll bother me. So this is like purely for my own self-satisfaction that I'll do the underside. There's all these little details that are right up against the sides that I need to do. And we'll do a wash, like a brown wash to get into all the details. And then we'll highlight this, and then, yeah, call it a day for the brown parts. You don't have to spend too much time on this. Now I'm just cleaning up a mistake I made and spreading paint out everywhere, making a mess. Ugh. Gotta let that dry now. Do you know I've cleaned up this table of all that sand from basing, and yet I still feel like the grit of some sand. It's kind of annoying. Okay, well, that's most of it done. We'll clean that up later. Now take a look at this and see how it's dried. A little patchy, but we can flip this over now and do the other side. And we'll get a second coat on. One thing that's nice about plastic models is that you don't have to worry about like your models corroding and oxidizing. That's kind of an issue with metal models, especially if you leave it bare metal for a very long time, and they're exposed to air. There'll be a bit of oxidization where the surface starts to bubble up. It's not rusting necessarily, but especially with like older models from the 80s that were made from lead, they can really get bad to the point where like the surface just kind of starts to get a weird texture, and you can do things to address that. Like you can kind of file it down, sand it down to make it smooth again. But in some cases, it's kind of unsalvageable. And at least with plastic models, you don't have to deal with that. Although plastic models have other problems. I think over time, there's the possibility that plastic models will kind of like deteriorate as well in a different way. Like they'll become brittle plastic. I've noticed that with some old Lego. So I was unearthing some of my old toys from very, very long time ago. And I found some old Lego space stuff. And the plastic, the plastic on some of the parts, well, all Lego is plastic, just crumbled in my hands when I picked it up. Especially the clear plastic parts, because it's made from a different kind of plastic. Typically, the plastic that that Lego uses for your normal bricks and stuff, it's called ABS plastic, and it's very resilient. It's a very good plastic to use. However, the clear plastic parts are made from something else, which I don't know what it's called, and that's the stuff that crumbled in my hands when I found it. Very brittle. One thing that's really cool though is that, like, because this hobby has like kind of grown over the years, we're still seeing people produce metal models, which I think is really neat. Just like smaller companies, right? Because you can make you can cast metal models in a smaller scale compared to, like, the big production numbers that's a company like Games Workshop would need to make, right? Yeah, the startup cost, I guess, and the production cost for making metal miniatures is less, I think, than making plastic. So it's really neat that metal miniatures still live, and in fact, yeah, at some point, I definitely would like to buy and try out miniatures from other companies. I've bought a few in the in the past and somewhat recently as well. So I just like to check out what else is out there. So just trying to get a nice even coat here on these guys, on this this platform. And I'm noticing that there's some spots that I didn't get. That's also a good reason to kind of thin your paints. It helps flow into all the areas of detail instead of just like covering the very surface parts. Okay, let's see here. Still some areas that I haven't gotten to just yet. And even the sides, I need to get to the sides, but we can kind of save that for later. And if I end up overpainting into some of the blue parts, it's not too big of a deal because this is a much lighter color, so it'll cover up nicely if I go back in with the blue, the dark blue. But we'll just let that dry. Inspect this gun. And yeah, we definitely need to apply a second coat. So let's get that second coat onto this, and we might wrap things up pretty soon. We're almost at the 3-hour mark, which is just about my limit. I'm not Majin Obama. I can't go on for 3 hours or whatever. No, not 3 hours. 12. And you may have noticed I've been taking quite a few breaks. Yeah. Like Obama, Majin Obama, that is, the fighting game community person, content creator. He's been playing Dark Souls recently, Dark Souls 2, and he will sit there for hours at a time, just repeatedly dying over and over again, and I have no idea how he does it. I would definitely want to get up and stretch like every hour or something. He's a beast. He's a beast. Okay. Sorry if this is off camera, just trying to get all the angles here. So that's one coat done. I'm gonna get the second coat on this, but I can tell that the paint's not dry. So there is all that. And we're still working on these. And I think they're going to end up looking pretty good. I'm not actually sure what I should paint the chainmail. That's a design element of these Eldar models that has changed over the years. I feel like it should be blue, honestly. They should just be blue, because any other color would just draw attention to itself in a way that would distract from attempting to make them more unified with these ones, right? So again, I think this is a case where we're just going to not accentuate the difference in details, but actually kind of harmonize them, and instead just paint it blue. That's probably going to be the strat. Just a lot of blue on these guys. We'll see. No 12-hour stream for me, Night Trap? Nah. Did I see his new YouTube video as part of a series he's working on? Yeah, I think I heard them talking about it, but I hadn't seen it yet, so I think that's what I'm going to do right now. We're just about done today. Mostly we've been working on this weapons platform crew just to do something different from these Eldar guys, because just wanted to take a break from working on them, but they're almost done. That's the goal for January. Complete these guys. The first goal has been already completed. Complete the Lord of the Rings goblins. They are all done. So that's awesome. And now this is like really the big task now. This model here is virtually done. I'm just kind of reluctant to work on it more, just because I'm not really sure what I need to do to make it look better and finish, but that's something that I can mess around with to take it to the very end game and really finish her up. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for me, guys. If you made it this far, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. GG.